Very good morning, dear children. This video is for class 10 science chapter number 7, control and coordination, and this is lecture number 1. The topics that we are going to cover in today's lecture are introduction to the chapter, that what is this control and coordination all about, then nervous system in animals and the nerve cell. So all these three things we are going to start. So let us begin with the first topic, that how the control and coordination is happening inside the body. So children, to know about control and coordination, let's have some examples. So the first example is, if you touch any hot object. Another is, if you prick a pin to some part of our body. What if children, they shout in the playground but they do not make noise in a school library? Or doing 2 or more activities together, like just now I am taking your video lecture, I am speaking, I am writing, and I am also maintaining my camera. So these are the kinds of things that 2 or more activities, they are going on side by side. And how does this happen? So what all these activities are showing to us? That there is a control and some kind of regulation between them. So as all the living beings, they show some kind of movements as a proof for their living. They can be as growth movements or non-growth movements. Growth movements, for example, germinating seed. Non-growth movements like running a running cat, children's playing, cow chewing cud, folding and drooping of leaves in a sensitive plants. So what happens that we can have either plants or animals, about which we have to study that how they do control and regulate all the activities simultaneously. So plants, they have the growth and non-growth movements both. But animals, they have all the non-growth movements. They show all the non-growth movements. And how are they occurring? In response to changes in environment. Suppose cat is running. There may be a possibility that that cat has seen a mouse. Or that can also be possible that a dog is running behind her. Running behind it. Then another is, plants, they grow towards the sunshine. What is so special about the sunshine? Or chewing of cud, because this chewing of cud helps the further digestion by the animals. Now, closing of eyes, when more light is there, when very bright light is there, why is the closing of eyes happens? So all this is possible only when one system recognizes all the various events in the environment, that what is happening around us or inside us, and allow the movements accordingly. So in all these activities, there is something which is controlling and it is maintaining the relation or the regulation between the activities happening depending upon the response or changes in the environment. So this is our control and coordination is. This chapter is all about that what is that main system which controls and coordinates between all the activities going on. So how can we define control? Control is the power to restrain and regulation, or restrain and regulate, by which something can be started, slowed down, or stopped, or accelerated. So control is the power to restrain and regulate, so that something can be started, some activity, it can be slowed down or it can be stopped. Then we have the coordination. Co, joins, ordinates, regulated. So coordination is orderly working of different but interrelated parts so as to perform one or more activities very smoothly. So it's important that working orderly working of different but interrelated parts, so that all the activities can be performed smoothly. For example, the ingestion of food. Ingestion is just a process, just an activity of the complete digestive system of the body. But there are various activities which are going on in coordination with each other. For example, eyes, they locate the food, nose registers its smell, hands pick up the food and take it in the mouth. Mouth opens, teeth and jaw muscles, they take part in the mastication, and saliva moistens the food, and so on till the digestion and excretion of the waste material. So all these activities are interrelated with each other and they are very smoothly going on. So there is some kind of coordination between all the activities going on. So what happens? That there is one system who coordinates and control all these activities going on inside the body. So in animals, it is controlled and coordinated by the help of nervous or muscular tissues. Then in plants, because they do not have the nervous system like humans, so they have a chemical or hormonal coordination and control. But the animals, they have the both. Like they can perform, they do have the nervous system. Along with it, they do have the endocrine system. Endocrine system is responsible for the generation of all kinds of hormones or chemical messengers. So that's why in animals, which kind of control and coordination system works? It's called as neuroendocrine system. So it's both nervous system plus the hormonal coordination. Now let us study about the nervous system in animals. So the structural and functional unit of nervous system is called as neuron or nerve cell. The nerve cell or the nervous system receives information from the surroundings. It processes the information that it has gathered and interprets it, and then it responds accordingly. So what is being done here? That we are getting the information from somewhere, or we are getting some kind of stimulus from somewhere. Then the nervous system, it receives, processes, interprets the signals, and then it orders some kind of muscles or some kind of hormones to respond accordingly. The system also passes the information from one internal system to another. So the basic structural and functional unit of the nervous system is neuron, which respond to a stimulus. What is a stimulus? Stimulus is a factor including any change in the external and internal situations of an organism. And to what kind of the stimulus? That can be mechanical or chemical. Reaction of organism after the intake of the information, interpretation of the system, the reaction of the organism towards that stimulus is called as response. So, to receive the signal or the sensory information from outside or internal, chemical changes or mechanical changes, we have some kind of receptors and effectors. Effectors which will give the reaction to that stimulus. So we have some receptors and effectors. We have many types of receptors. Some of them are here. The first is the photoreceptor. Photo means light. So these photoreceptors are present in our eye on the retina so that they can detect the light coming from the images. These photoreceptors are rod and cone cells present on the retina. Then we have phonoreceptors. Phono means sound. The phonoreceptors, they occur in the inner ear to detect the sound. Then we have olfactory receptors or olfactoreceptors. Olfactoreceptors are basically for smell, which occur in our nasal cavity to detect any kind of smell. Then we have gustatoreceptors, which are called as receptors for taste. So they occur in the buccal cavity or the mouth so that they can detect the taste. Then we have thermoreceptors. Thermo means temperature. So they are able to detect the temperature. And where are they present? They are present in our skin. Then we also have tangoreceptors. Tangoreceptors, they respond to the touch on the skin. So they are also present in the skin. So how the receptors, they receive? Receptors, they receive any kind of change in internal or external environment. They give the information to the sensory neuron. Sensory neuron gives the information to the brain. Brain receives the signal, interprets it, and then after processing, it gives it to the motor neuron. Then motor neuron gives the message to the effector, which will give the reaction now. So that was all about the how do we respond to any other stimulus. Then what are the various functions of nervous system? Nervous system provides the information from one system to another. It controls and coordinates the voluntary and involuntary activities. Voluntary, that happens by themselves. Involuntary, which are not going on by themselves, they need some kind of chemical messages to them so that they can be initiated. Then to assimilate the experiences. By performing the previous activities, the nervous system, it creates memory, intelligence and learning. Now let us have a gist of what is this endocrine system, neuroendocrine system. So neuroendocrine system is made up of two parts, nervous system and the endocrine system, which carries the chemicals and hormones. Then only the nervous system, if we talk about the human nervous system, it is made up of two parts, CNS and PNS. CNS is the central nervous system. PNS is the peripheral nervous system. CNS is further divided into two parts, or you can say that central nervous system is made up of two parts, brain and spinal cord. The together, brain and spinal cord, they together are called as central nervous system. Then we have PNS. PNS is having voluntary nervous system and involuntary nervous system. So here voluntary nervous system is again divided into two parts, cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Spinal nerves are having two parts, sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So this is our complete human nervous system. We'll study each and everything just step by step. So we have to start with CNS first. We'll understand what is brain, what are its parts, how do each part performs different functions. Then we'll understand what is the role of the spinal cord, where it is, what is the structure of it, what is its importance, and then we'll go on with the PNS. But before understanding the central nervous system, we should understand that how that functional unit called as neuron works. Now let us study about the neuron. So neuron is the structural and the functional unit of the nervous system. It is the longest cell in the body, and sometimes its length can be approx 1 meter as well. And the neurons, they are specialized for reception, integration and transmission of information. That means in our body, in the nervous system of our body, we have different kinds of neurons which are specifically designed for reception of the information. Some are specifically doing the integration of the information and some are doing the transmission work. Parts of the neuron. If we talk about its structure, it is having mainly three parts. One, cell body, which is also called as cyton. Second, dendrites. Third, axons. Dendrite and axon, they together are called as neurites. So here we have a beautiful structure of the neuron. It's very simple to make. I have made it by myself. And see, so this is one neuron having three parts. Cell body. This tubular structure that you are seeing here is called as axon. Here, these structures are called as dendrites. Then here, at the terminal of the neuron, we have the axon terminal, or also called as nerve endings. So this is the complete structure of the neuron. Here you can see that on the axon we have some kind of coverings also, which are called as myelin sheath. Some of the neurons, they are also of such type that they are not having this myelin sheath. Here, this node or this gap between the two myelin sheaths and the axon, this node is called as node of Ranvier. Then here inside the cell body or the cyton, we have a nucleus, and this is the granular cytoplasm. It carries the neurofibrils, and here we have the nucleus. So we can say about the cell body that cell body is a typical cell that contains the nucleus, granular cytoplasm, and this is almost round or broad part of the neutron. It contains various cells organelles, nucleus and the cytoplasm, but here there is no centriole present here, because of which it can further divide into various parts. So because of that, the division of this cell cannot occur. Now, as the plasma of the cell is called cytoplasm, so here this is a special kind of cell. It is a nerve cell or neuron. So that's why this plasma is called as neuroplasm. And the main function of this cell body is the maintenance of neuron by performing the required metabolic activities. So here inside the cell body, the metabolic activities for the maintenance and growth, or you can say the performance of the neuron occur. Then here we have the second part, which is called as dendrites. So dendrites or dendrons, they are also called as dendrons. These are the short processes in the neuron which perform the function of reception, process and transmission of the signal. Now what happens? These are fine and branch structures. They mechanically, physically and chemically generate electrical messages, and they also pick up these kind of messages coming from other neuron. Then we have the axon. So what is axon? Axon is a single elongated fiber which conducts the impulses away from the cell body. So it takes the signal from here and it conducts in this direction. And it is also called as cytoplasmic terminally branched, because it is having the branches at the end, which are called as nerve endings. And remember, the cell membrane of the axon is called as neurolemma. So here we see that both axon and dendrites, they emerge from the cell body. Axon divides into the terminal branches called as nerve endings, and they release the transmission or they end up the electrical impulse. Axon is covered with a sheath, and sheathed axon is called as nerve fiber. So this kind of neurolemma is basically the single layer of the sheath on the axon. Between the neurolemma and the axon we have another layer which is called as myelin sheath. And what is this myelin sheath? This is actually the fat present between the neurolemma and axon. So this kind of axon which is having the myelin sheath on it, it is called as myelinated nerve fiber. Somewhere here we also have the unmyelinated nerve fiber, and at this particular point they are called as knots of Ranvier. If we compare T2 positions, then the myelin sheath covered nerve fiber or axon is more efficient to transfer the signals from one point to another. So children, as today's lecture you have 5 questions as your homework. Question number 1 is, what is control and coordination? Give one example. Question number 2, what is neuron? Question number 3, draw a well-labeled structure of neuron and explain its parts. Question number 4 is, what are receptors? Question number 5 is, what is a stimulus? So children, this is all about today's lecture. Tomorrow we'll study the synapses, neuromuscular junctions, then we'll understand something about brain, that what are various parts of brain and how they function, or for what specific function they are performing. So till then, take care and goodbye.